Are you thinking about buying your very first house in St. Catharines? Maybe a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, something that's in and around that $400,000 mark? If so, I want to share with you 106 Carlton. I'm going to jump on my computer in just a moment, but this is a home that is up for sale. It's going for 409. It's down from 4.25. And not only am I going to show you the house, but I also want to show you how to use Realtor.ca's calculator. And by the way, I'm going to link this in the description below, so that way you can jump into it right away. But having that ability to use the calculator can give you a better understanding of how close is this property in comparison to what I'm paying for in rent today. Say, for example, if you are paying for rent on a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in an apartment building, say for $1,800 or $1,850, does this home come close to within that budget? So we're going to find out. I'm going to jump on my computer and let's get started. So again, this link is going to be linked in the description below. This is 106 Carlton Street. I'm going to be hosting an open house on Saturday, August 8th from 2 to 4 p.m. So if you want to take a peek, you're more than welcome to come out during that time. Otherwise, if you don't have a realtor, please feel free to reach out to me and we'll take a private tour. All right, so when we land on the page, you'll see highlights, neighborhood statistics, and calculators. Let's just take a look at highlights first. So it gives you a bit of a listing description here. And then it also tells you a little bit more about the property. So it tells you it's a single family home, it's a house, it's freehold, so there is no monthly condo fees for this, the time that it's been on Realtor.ca, and also the size of the lot, roughly the age range. But I'm going to tell you for this house, it's actually closer to 99 than it is to 51. So here's another one, annual property taxes. And it kind of gives you a bit of a breakdown, small breakdown, how many bedrooms, total bathrooms, the appliances that are included. So it says that the water heater is included. So this is something that you want to see if it's rented, or confirm if it's rented or if it's owned, right? Because that's very common, is hot water heaters being a rental list. But it does say here actually that the rental equipment, there is none. So you don't have to worry about spending that $50 a month there. One thing that kind of stands out is that this is not a home with an AC unit. It does have forced air, so you do have heating, but it does not have AC. So this is something where maybe an AC unit could be added there, because forced air already has the ducting in order to distribute the air. Or perhaps maybe in the interim, there could be maybe window-mounted AC units or something like that. But we don't want to get too sidetracked here. I'm just kind of showing you a little bit about what is on the resume for this particular house. And we're going to take a look at some of the pictures. So this is the hero shot, which is the kitchen. And let's click on that. But I want to actually show you the front of the house first. So this, I think, should have been the hero shot. You can see here on the right-hand side of the house, that's where your 2 cars can park here. There is no garage. And then one thing I do like about this place is the front porch has quite a bit of space here. This photo doesn't really give it justice. The AI sort of gives you a bit of an idea, but you can fit a table here. So if you're the type of person, or if you and your spouse do like to stay outside and sort of people watch a little bit, Carlton is kind of a busy road, not as busy as Lake. So Lake is further to the east of this location, but you do have some modest traffic that goes through, and you do have some foot traffic that's there. My office is actually not too far from there. And from here, you can actually travel along to Lake and then go north on Lake to connect you with the QEW. So say, for example, if you are traveling for your work, you need to be in many different places, and get on the highway easily. This is a location that you can get on the highway very easily. Plus, you're not too far away from Ontario Street, and Ontario Street has quite a few restaurants and entertainment and things like that. Plus, you're not too far away from the actual downtown in St. Catharines too. So let's take a look at the inside. So when you come in, this is the front door. Although if my mom were to look at buying this house, she would never allow the kids to come to the front door. And the reason why is because this front door opens directly onto that living room space. And she would never allow us to have muddy shoes or dirty shoes to come in here. And in the wintertime, you can imagine that you don't want to have water and stuff like that pooling up. So In my house growing up, my mom would never allow us to use the front door. She always told us to use the back door where there's a mudroom, and this place does have a mudroom, which I'll show you in a little bit. The photos don't really give you a sense of space that's here, but what it does show us is some of the features that an older home has, like the woodworking done, like for the framing for windows and doors. Like you can see here, you don't get that with modern homes, and even the baseboards here. These are 9-inch. You can't really tell with the photograph, but this is an upgraded feature if you were buying a new home. Sometimes new homes will even sort of boast that they include things like that as a part of the price, but it's actually an upgraded feature when you have tall baseboards. This photo is taken from inside that front door, and you can see here this is the living room space here. So you can imagine how you would place your couch and then maybe your TV or wherever you want to, or however you want to orient it. And then over here is going to be your dining room table, which is illustrated with this augmented photo here. The thing about this is that this doorway is fairly wide, and again you do have this trim, right? You see this decorative trim all around, including all these windows. But having those open conversations where maybe you invite guests or whatever, just like a young family as you're getting prepared to sit down and eat. Maybe you might want to have a conversation while you're preparing, doing your prep work and stuff like that with your meals. I like having conversation. I like having an open area a little bit, even if there was like a cutout here, just in that way I could see what's going on with the TV, as I'm preparing things or whatever. But to each his own. And when we go through here, this is the kitchen. That was that hero shot that we saw beforehand. I don't remember if this is soft close or not. The appliances looked fairly new. I don't know if they're brand new or if they're next to new. But they seem to be very clean, and that's something that needs to be looked at. But you can see here that trim for the window that we saw earlier is not really there. It's kind of there, but not to the same level. And here's a shot from the doorway leading down to the basement. And if we actually make a left out this way, we'll be headed towards that mudroom. And there is a door that separates the mudroom from the rest of the house. Let's just take a look at it right now. This is the mudroom here. So from that perspective, I turned around to the left, and now I'm facing that back door. Doesn't look the greatest. You can see, something's going on here. And from the outside, this is how big it is. This is not a heated space. It's not a cooled space. There is a door that cuts things off. But this is where my mom would make us come back here. Maybe remove the shelves here, put some, hooks for your jackets and that kind of stuff. But this could be redone, I think. And it's not a very large footprint, as you can see from the outdoors here. But yeah, we would have to come in from the back after we get from school and head on in through here. I do want to show you the basement. The basement of homes of this age typically are not created with livability in mind. When they make these basements, it's basically for storage, for housing your mechanicals. You can see that your laundry is over here. And over the years, there has been signs of water penetration. And since St. Catharines has had some flooding issues lately, when I come to see this place, I want to see how this basement has held up. Even though there was signs of a leaky basement beforehand, it looked like there was some repair work that was done. But you want to make sure that the inspector has a look at it. And having this exposed basement here makes it a whole lot easier for your inspector. And if you don't have one, I have contacts for an inspector to look at the condition of the foundation and make a determination whether or not this is something that is of great concern or something that is manageable that could be dealt with in the future, or that it's pretty much okay. You don't have to worry about it for any immediate attention. Anyway, so this is the basement here, and there's actually, I think, 2 additional rooms, but not really rooms. It's like a divided area we'll have, but lots of storage here. I would probably have something that could lift things up off the cold concrete. But I want to point out, actually, that this has copper piping for your water system. So I don't know whether or not with the new remodeling, if there's any PEX that's in there, but I love seeing copper. Copper is a 50-plus year type of product, whereas with PEX, it's flexible, it's kind of soft, and it doesn't have that sort of lifetime that you can expect with copper. Not to say that copper can't leak, but it's just, boy, it certainly lasts a long time. And I know it's an expensive thing nowadays if you want to add copper to your place, but seeing that already built in, I like that. Anyway, let's go back to the main room. So now we're at the top of the stairs, right? So we climb up these stairs right over here, and as soon as we get to the top, we land right around here, okay? And we're gonna go through the dining room, hang a right, and then we're gonna go right into the bathroom. The bathroom divides the two rooms, and this sink is pretty small, but for the purposes of washing your hands, brushing your teeth, rinsing off your your razor, that kind of stuff, this is gonna be more than adequate. And I like what they've done with this bathroom. I don't remember whether or not there was a fan that was here, but I do like the color, the tile. I think that they really did a good job with this washroom itself. If we look at the first bedroom, this is the bedroom that's closest to Carlton Street, so you can see it here. Again, you have those thick baseboards. You got that nice trim around the windows, and you do have closets. So I'm going to take we're going to stand in this corner right over here. This is looking towards the entrance of the door. Again, you see that woodwork that's there, and then the closet. Homes of this age don't typically have closets. You actually have to have like a standalone wardrobe, right? And also I want to point out that your HVAC grates, these decorative metal grates, you don't get that kind of stuff anymore. Anyway, the next room, second room, this is going towards the back there. It's almost like opposite of the kitchen. And again, you have a closet, a small closet that's here. This is not something that's typical for these homes of this age, and it does have it. I think that another thing I just want to point out, being able to have this open flooring here and only having one floor makes it a little bit easier for an inspector to see what kind of electrical system that was used here. And I think even right over here, I don't know if that looks like PEX maybe, right around here. It's hard to tell. But having this kind of open as opposed to fully closed off and redone and it's a livable area really does allow for an inspector to take a closer look at what's going on under the hood. Okay, backyard. I mentioned, or we saw before, that this was 36 feet wide by 100 feet in length, okay? And I'm wondering, because St. Catharines does have programs to help homeowners build a ADU, so it's an accessory dwelling unit or a secondary dwelling unit, and I'm wondering whether or not there might be enough space here to create something that might be around 600 to 800 square feet. If you're interested to learn more about that, let me know in the comments section below. If there's enough interest, maybe I can do a standalone video about that. So that's the house itself, and you're like, you know what, this is actually not too bad. It looks pretty decent. Maybe it warrants taking a closer look and see whether or not this is something that might be worth your while. But what about the numbers? Let's take a look at the calculator and let's see how we could utilize this calculator in order to get an idea as to what our monthly payment could be. So when you start off, you can see that there's a bunch of numbers that are here, and it can be very confusing, but I just want you to focus in on this left-hand side here. So when we start, it's a start here. This is the price, right? It's telling you the location, but this is the price at $409, and it's showing you down payment using a 5%. So with this price point, we can put 5% down. So this is what the actual down payment would be. Now, when we put a deposit on something, like say if we make an offer, we don't have to put the whole entire amount there, but maybe we could put 10,000, like half of that, as a part of our offer to try to show where we stand. But look at that, just a little under 21K is required for a down payment. But a large portion of that, and it even shows you that CMHC, the insurance, because it's 5%, this is how much it's going towards that insurance plan, which is quite a bit, roughly. And this is not, to the letter here, but it gives you a really good idea. And then that difference actually goes towards the price. So that's that is a 4K difference that's there. So you can subtract that from that amount, and that's what you're borrowing from the bank. And then it actually tells us right here. Duh. It tells us what the total that you're borrowing, right? What you're mortgaging. And the amortization, so this is something where, some people get a little foggy about. Like, what does this mean? This is actually your total mortgage, right? So when you are thinking about borrowing this amount, we are borrowing it, in this case, it's showing 25 years, but we're actually going to go to 30 years. So we have 30 years for the total mortgage. And when you hear something called a renewal, like a mortgage renewal, all that means is that you and the bank determine a set time period. So sometimes it's between 3 to 5 years, but for the simplicity of this video, we'll make it 5 years. So every 5 years, you will be up for renewal. So you and the bank will be like, well, we got to take a look at what's the most current interest rates on the market that's available, and then make those adjustments. Amortization is the entire mortgage amount, and then your renewals are breaks in between, which the bank will readjust the interest rate. And what is the interest rate that you would put here? Because this is blank. So let's just put 4.6 for today. Not 46, 4.6%. I think my mortgage broker can get somewhere around 4.4 or maybe 4.3. I'd have to double check with him. But I'm putting 4.6 for now. Geez, 4.6 for now. Here we go. And this may actually increase by the end of the year. We're in August of 2026. At the beginning of the year, this is actually at 3.6. And I remember that a lot of these mortgage gurus that have their channels online were telling their audience, you're an idiot if you decide to buy a house in 2026. I even had clients that were telling me that, maybe it's not a good time to buy. I understand where you're coming from, Manny, but I think it's just better to wait. Bad advice cost people money. If you were looking at a $500,000 home, going from 3.6 to 4.2% was a $14,000 difference in 5 years in interest. Same house, same price, $14,000 more. And if we see it continue going up to 4.9, then that could be as much as, I think, $36,000. I have to double check, but somewhere around $30,000 more in interest that goes towards the bank just by not taking action. And that's song and dance, by the way, from those mortgage brokers out of, I think it's Kitchener or London or whatever, and some of these big wigs that are around. They're not singing that tune anymore because the interest rate has gone up, and it did negatively affect people that were sort of on the fence, that were sort of waiting around and seeing whether or not this is something that could be, timed or whatever. You cannot time the market. It's impossible. I've talked with people that have been in the real estate business for 30, 40, 50 years. There is no way that you can time the market, period. End of story. And if I were to show you historical numbers, and if you're interested, let me know in the comment section. There are many times since February of 2022 or November of 2022, where you'd see these ups and downs. And these ups and downs are going for, months long, right? Like there's a streak that goes upwards, like the prices are increasing for 5-6 months at a time, and then it drops. So it's next to impossible to be able to time the bottom. Right? Anyway, I don't mean to go into it so much, but I'm letting you know that there is talk about interest rates going up on the fixed mortgage side, and that maybe, just maybe, you might want to have the conversation with a mortgage broker about variable and see whether or not this is the right product for you. By the way, if you don't have a mortgage broker, I have 2 people that are really good at this type of stuff. They've been in the business for a very long time. They have saved my clients money, and I would love them to save you money as well. But if you don't have anybody, let me know, and I'll be happy to share the contact information. And you want to have that discussion first before you start looking around to different places. Anyway, we're going to take a look at 4.6%. You're going to go monthly, and look at this. We're looking roughly around just under 2,100, so 2,065. And just to change that, if we went to 3.6, okay, it is 1,835. That is quite a bit of a difference that's there. So 1,835, let's go to 4.9. 1,835, $300 more. So if we went to our calculator, wherever it went to, so 300 times 60 months, that's 5 years, that's $18,000 difference if from the beginning of this year to the end of this year, if it goes up to 4.99%, but we're going to go to 4.6 for now. Okay. So is this something that is manageable for you? Now, mind you, when you're renting an apartment, you're paying the rent plus your hydro, right? But in many cases, when you are renting the top floor of a house, right, you have to split the utilities, and often utilities are gas and hydro and water and that kind of stuff. So you're already seeing, those additional expenses on top of your rent, especially if you're renting a house. And what I like about the calculator here is that if you're a first-time home buyer, see how it's set to no? Your land transfer tax, right, is going to be on this home about $4,700, $4,655. But if you are a first-time home buyer, you get a $4,000 credit, and you're only paying $655, which is excellent. Now it's telling you, we saw it's a little over $20,000 for your down payment for the actual house, and then it's saying cash needed to close. It's showing you land transfer tax, the PST on the mortgage insurance, down payment, lawyer fees. I always like to inflate them a little bit more because sometimes you may come across a lawyer that's really affordable, and then you may come across a lawyer that's more, and cheaper is not always better. But I'm going to put $2,000, and then for title insurance I'm going to put $1,200, and then for home inspection, $500 should be okay. And then we'll get rid of the appraisal fee here. So roughly around $2,600, $2,700. So if you have saved $30,000, and I have clients that are single income, or there's two people that are working, they have saved some money, and this is the type of place that they can get into for a little more than what they're paying for rent, plus your utilities and things like that. And it even gives you a monthly expense breakdown here. So property tax, look at that, $218. It's already built in here based on that number beforehand. Utilities, this has got just heating for now. But if you have AC, let's pump that up to $300 a month, just to kind of be safe. Property insurance, around $50. Your cell phone bill, depending, if it's the two of you, it's probably going to be roughly around $170, something like that. Nobody really chooses cable anymore or whatever, but internet. So for $2,900, that's all your expenses. That's everything together, minus say your car and your car insurance and gasoline and your food, right? This kind of gives you a really good idea as to, hey, is this manageable? How does this compare to what I'm paying already, right? Because you're already paying for internet, you're already paying for your phone, right? You may have tenant insurance already, right? Tenant insurance is not as much as $50. It's probably $20 or something like that. And now it's just like, okay, we have property tax in addition, right, for our water and our garbage disposal. These are things that allow you to really paint a picture and see, like, is this something that you can do? And if this is something that you can do, and you don't have a realtor to walk you through the process, to give you an idea as to who gets involved when it comes to looking and evaluating at these homes, the transaction itself, because it's not just only your realtor, right? I talked about a mortgage broker, I talked about a home inspector, we even talked about your lawyer fees as well. These are the people that are going to be on your team. And of course, you're more than welcome to find whoever you want, but I also have these resources, so it's all done in-house, and you're more than welcome to reach out to them and see if they're a right fit for you. And if that sounds good to you, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Manny from Remax Garden City, and I sell homes in the Niagara region. I have resources downstairs. I have resources in the description below, including a first-time home buyer's guide. So if you want to click on that, you can. And I just need your name and some details or what have, and then I'll send it off to you. But also another thing, Realtor.ca is great to look for homes, but I also have a home search tool, and that search tool has an AI component to it, whereas Realtor.ca does not. And if you enter in your details on that home search, the AI looks at what you've been viewing and what you think you might be interested in, and will actually send you some examples, or if it sees something that's new on the market, right away you get to see what's available to you. So a lot of people actually really like that tool. They've told me they prefer my search tool over Realtor.ca. So I'm also going to link that below for you, and see whether or not you concur. Do you think that it's a better tool than Realtor.ca or not? So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.